In a quiet corner of the Whispering Valley, where the cobblestones were worn smooth by centuries of footsteps, and the morning mist clung to the eaves like pulled sugar, lived Elias, the clockmaker. Elias was a man who moved as if he were part of a gentle melody. He didn't walk, he drifted. He didn't work, he tended. While the rest of the village rushed past his window, heels clicking, voices sharp, pocket watches snapping shut like hungry mouths, Elias simply hummed a low, vibrating tune. He would spend an entire morning polishing a single brass gear, his spectacles reflecting the steady, slow movement of his hands. He was never alone. Barnaby, a scruffy terrier with fur the color of toasted bread and ears that flopped like velvet ribbons, was his constant shadow. Barnaby's role was the most important in the shop. He was the keeper of the shavings. He slept in a fragrant pile of cedar curls beneath the workbench, his belly rising and falling in a rhythm that ignored every ticking clock on the wall. Whenever Elias felt his own shoulders tighten, he would look at Barnaby and remember, even the sun takes its time to cross the sky. One winter, as the frost began to paint delicate silver ferns across the shop window, Elias began a special project. This was not a clock ordered by the mayor to count the taxes, nor by the baker to time his loaves. It was a clock Elias felt called to bring out of the wood. He carved the casing from the root of an old pear tree. He didn't use harsh metal springs. He used supple wood and counterweights of smooth river stone. Night after night, while the fire crackled in the hearth and the wind whispered through the chimney, Elias tuned the gears. He wasn't looking at a master clock for the time. He was listening to Barnaby's breathing. He was listening to the slow, steady pulse in his own wrist. Just as the final polish was applied, the door burst open with a violent jangle of the bell. In rushed Mr. Thorne. Thorne was a man who owned 3 factories, 2 shipping lines, and 0 minutes of peace. He moved in jagged lines. He was always checking his wrist, always tapping his cane, always 5 minutes behind a schedule that never ended. "Elias!" Thorne puffed, a cloud of cold air following him. "My regulator has snapped. I have meetings in the city, deadlines. Minutes are slipping through my fingers like sand. I need a clock that is precise. I cannot lose a single second." His eyes fell upon the new wooden clock on the bench. It was beautiful, glowing with a soft, natural oil finish. "That one," Thorne commanded, throwing a heavy purse of gold on the counter. "It looks sturdy. I'll take it." Elias opened his mouth to speak, to explain the nature of the wood and the rhythm of the gears. But Thorne was already gone, the door slamming shut behind him. The next morning, Mr. Thorne sat in his grand office. He set the wooden clock before him. Tick, tock. He began to write a letter. Usually, he could finish a page in 60 seconds. But as he wrote, he realized the clock hadn't chimed. He looked up. The second hand was moving, but it was moving with a strange, languid grace. It didn't snap from second to second. It flowed. "Come on, move!" Thorne hissed. He felt an itch under his skin. He tried to work faster to outrun the clock, but the slow, rhythmic tick, tock seemed to mock his frantic pen. He grew agitated. He tried to shake the clock. He even took a small screwdriver and tried to force the gears to turn faster. But the wood was stubborn. It stayed true to its pulse. By noon, Thorn was exhausted. He felt like he was wading through honey. He grabbed the clock and marched back through the snow. "It's broken!" Thorn shouted, slamming the clock onto Elias's workbench. "It's a disaster! Every minute on this clock takes nearly 75 seconds. I've missed 3 appointments because I was waiting for the hour to strike. You've sold me a lie, clockmaker." Elias didn't flinch. He slowly adjusted his spectacles and reached out, resting a hand on the pear wood casing. "It is not broken, Mr. Thorn," he said, his voice like a warm blanket. "It is a heartbeat clock." Thorn paused, his face red. "A what?" "I built these gears to move not at the speed of the world's greed," Elias whispered, "but at the speed of a resting heart. It does not measure the time you owe to others. It measures the peace you owe to yourself." Barnaby let out a soft yawn and rested his chin on Thorn's polished boot. "You see, Mr. Thorn," Elias continued, "the world will always try to make you run. It will tell you that you are behind, that you are failing, that you must trade your breath for gold. But this clock reminds you that your life is not a race to be won. It is a garden to be walked through. You are allowed to breathe between the seconds." For a long time, the only sound in the shop was the slow, rhythmic tick-tock of the heartbeat clock. Thorn looked at the clock, then at Elias, and finally down at the scruffy dog on his feet. For the first time in 20 years, Mr. Thorn's foot stopped tapping. He sat on the stool. He took a breath. He realized the world hadn't ended because he was 5 minutes late. The stars were still there. The fire was still warm. He didn't take back his gold. He took the clock home. He placed it not on his desk, but on the mantelpiece above his bed. The moral of the Whispering Valley is this: you are not a machine. You were not built to be efficient at the cost of your soul. If the world feels too fast today, remember Elias and his wooden clock. Your pace is the right pace. It is not a mistake to move slowly. It is only a mistake to forget why you are moving at all. Just take the next step, at your own speed. That is always enough.